Final practice, Fast Friday, rolling on. Presented by K&N. One practice in the books, one to go. Here's how things shook out earlier today. The fastest, Joey Logano in that Penske Ford. And why am I not surprised that second on the scoring pylon, the 42 of Kyle Larson. Now one final hour to get tuned up for 300 miles here tomorrow with Michael Waltrip and America's crew chief, Larry McReynolds. I'm Adam Alexander. So you got 1 hour left to get ready for the big show. What do you need to feel here, driver?
Well, we want the temperatures to replicate where the cars will be running tomorrow. We've got that now. The track's heated up. So these teams, I think, are going to take a really close look at where these cars are on the long run. We talk about how wide this racetrack is, how many different grooves there are in the corners, how rough the back straightaway is. They've taken all that in. They figured all that out in that first session. Now they just want to fine-tune, zero in on that line they want to run, figure out what air pressure to have in the tires so it doesn't beat around too much, and how we get that grip on the long haul. That's the challenge, America's crew chief.
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't see drivers making long runs because you have to be careful. It's only an hour session, and a long run can eat up a lot of that practice. But it was no surprise. You saw it, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, a lot of our guys doing double duty fast. But a guy that had never been to this racetrack, it's kind of a home game, Cole Custer ended up the fastest of the Xfinity series, and we had a couple of rookies, Daniel Hemrick and Cole, that were in the top 10.
I don't know how many pages you have for your to-do list, but he had a lot of items he wanted to work on as a driver.
And
here
I only
in
have
final
55
practice.
minutes. That's all I got.
What I love is the rookies. They've learned now what this place is all about. Some of them have never been on the track to even see what it's like. Now they have all that information, and they want to explain it to their crew chief. They want to talk to their spotter and say, these are the challenges. How do we take this 55 minutes and refine what we've got?
Joey Logano making his second start of 2017, and right now, Vince Welch, he's undefeated.
He is indeed. He's 1 for 1. He won a race earlier this season, but he did so in the 12 car, not in the 22. In fact, you've got to go all the way back to November of 2015, the last time the 22 car went to victory lane in the Xfinity Series. That's what Joey is trying to change here this weekend. The 22 has been runner-up twice this season, but it hasn't been to victory lane. Joey says the one thing on his list for this practice, he wants a little more security on entry to the corner. Of course, he wants that without losing any speed. We'll see if they can accomplish that in this final practice. Chris Neville?
Well, Vince, Michael Annette coming off his first top 10 of the year back at Phoenix last weekend. And after that race, he said, we finally are starting to figure some things out. And I talked to him about that today. He said it really just comes down to chemistry and communication and me understanding these cars and what I want. He said, I've really been leaning on my teammates. And at Phoenix, I started really going after what I want in a race car. He said that first practice here, he said, boy, we just couldn't figure it out. Most of the junior motorsports cars just way too tight. So he said, this practice, we've got to free those cars up.
And then Annette knows what he's looking for here, Chris. He was sixth back in 2009, if you can believe that. Career best finish, third twice for Annette. And I think last week in Phoenix was a big step for this team. Hadn't seen the performance out of them they hoped for. They were on target last weekend. Be interesting to see if they can continue the momentum.
Yeah, really, the only junior motorsports Chevrolet driver that had some speed was Elliott Sadler in that one car. He was sixth quickest. He only ran 10 laps. But, yeah, the other junior motorsports drivers well outside the top 10 in that first practice.
I think about this, though, and we look at Elliott Sadler here. Go back to Atlanta. They had a really good car at Atlanta, but the following week, talking about Elliott Sadler, really had to put in a good effort to get a top 10 at Las Vegas. And last week, all of the junior motorsports cars were fast. This process of getting your arms around the new low downforce package continues for everyone, but it does appear, when you look top to bottom, junior motorsports is ahead of the curve.
I love that picture. Look at Elliott Sadler looking down into turn 3, trying to pick one of those lanes to run through. So many options here at the Auto Club Speedway about the direction you can go when you get down in there, bounce down that back straightaway, and then pick you a lane.
But I definitely think that shot shows you just how bumpy this place is. And yeah, a little bit in the corners, but mainly on the back straightaway.
And I'm going to commandeer me a Toyota pace car and go out there and make some laps after everything's over today. I want to feel what that's like out there.
15 cars have been on track so far in final practice. Elliott Sadler, championship leader coming in, is 10th. Fastest of the bunch, Eric Jones. 1, 2, 3, Toyota Chevrolet, and a Ford. And right now, it's all about keeping up with the Joneses. Eric Jones at the top, Brandon Jones second, and the top four, Joey Logano. Quit earlier. Right now, he is third in the double deuce for Roger Penske.
Isn't that's sort of been the theme of 2017 so far? Ford, Toyota, Chevy, they're sharing the headlines. Each of them with a win, all of them near the top of the speed charts every session. That's pretty amazing.
A couple of rookies in the top five. Matt Tifft, who had never been here, and Spencer Gallagher, who actually raced here last year in the Xfinity race, was running full-time in trucks, but they were off this weekend. So this is one of the races that they competed in, and he tested out here with that 23 team following Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he actually was talking about Spencer Gallagher. He showed pretty decent speed in that first practice. He was 12th overall.
I talked to the team. They said they did learn quite a bit when they came out here and tested. So final practice is underway. We're live in Fontana, California. It's Fast Friday on FS1, presented by K&N. Toyota Racing on Twitter, and make sure you use the hashtag NASCAR Goes West. Eric Jones helping out the sponsor. Top of the board. He likes this NASCAR Goes West. Running pretty good on Saturdays and Sundays on this tour on the left coast.
And I'm telling you, Adam, probably the thing the crew chiefs look closest at is long run speed. We talked in the opening how these teams needed to figure out what these cars were going to do when the tires started to fade and they were slipping and sliding around. This 20 car of Eric Jones not only is the fastest car overall, but his long run speed, as you see him all the way off the racetrack there in turn 4 down on the apron to finish that pass of Kyle Larson off of turn 4, his long run speed is right on target.
It just appears that his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, decided to put some fresh tires on this 20 car, and let's start this second practice by making a long run. He'll be coming to complete 10 laps.
I think Kyle Larson right behind him in that same category. He too has turned 10 laps next time around. There's Ryan Reed, a little damage. That's not good. What happened? Here he comes, headed into turn 1.
Well, you see, Adam, what you want to do is swing out as far as you can toward that wall and not hit it. But
that was a little too close.
We swung out, Vince, but we hit it.
Yeah, and the team going to work. A little cosmetic damage on the right rear and a little bit on the right front as well. Ryan, what happened there?
I just was getting aggressive in 1 and 2 and felt like I was there. I was struggling the most in, just getting a little tight in the center and then washing up in the center. I felt like, if I just maybe got a little more aggressive and got back to it a little earlier, maybe I could get it to rotate. And I hopped the top seam there. When I did, it got like a snappy loose. Those seams are just so treacherous. And I know that and just got a little too aggressive right there. Fortunately, it's light. It's cosmetic. So I just looked it over with the guys, and I'll be able to fix it. Hate losing any practice time. And hey, I hadn't worked for these guys, but we'll get it straightened out. I don't think we're too bad right there. I think speed seemed to be in the ballpark, top 10-ish, so we'll see. And I learned for qualifying because we got to go out there and get it all done in 1 lap for qualifying. So learning experience, and that's what I'll call it. And thankfully, it's not too bad.
Thanks, Ryan.
Vince, he was 14th in practice 1, 11th here in our final tune-up. Eric Jones at the top, then it's Brandon Jones, Joey Logano, Matt Tifft, and Ty Dillon. A pair of Joe Gibbs racing cars inside the top 5, and we'll see how fast Kyle Busch is in the 18. Always good when we come here, but right now showing 20th on the board after 5 laps, Chris.
And Adam, he was only 8th quick in that first practice. And I spoke with crew chief Scott Graves. And he said, last year, this time of year, we were just dominant. We were just pulling the cars out, had speed out of the hauler, just fine-tuning. This weekend, now we're starting to do some development. We realize that Team Penske and Chip Ganassi Racing and Junior Motorsports, they've all closed that gap. So we're having to try some new things. And that's what we did in that first practice. The car just way too tight. We tried something unusual. We swapped all that out. So now we're on a setup much closer to Eric Jones and trying to work through that setup right now.
Chris, I don't think they've closed the gap, those other teams. I think they erased the gap. Remember how dominant Joe Gibbs Racing was heading into California a year ago. I mean, they were qualifying 1, 2, 3, winning races, leading the most laps. I think almost 4 times the amount of laps led than any other of the teams when we got to California here a year ago. Now that's just not the case. The speed is there, but it's not dominating speed like we saw a year ago.
But, Michael, we were looking during commercial break. I mean, right now it appears that they're all chasing Kyle's teammate Eric Jones, that 20 car. He made that 10-lap run. It fell off a second from his fast lap to his slowest lap, but that car just looks awfully good, and I believe Eric's pretty happy with it.
And I'll tell you this too, Larry, Kyle Busch, he's bumped up to 18th now. The last 2 times by, he's run his fastest laps. And if that's on older tires, just know that the changes they made to the 18 car during the break has got him exactly where he needs to be. He's running 41.78. At the end of the run, we saw Eric Jones 41.77. So if that's the same set of tires, the adjustments the team made, the 18 could become a story tomorrow. We know he's going to be a story tomorrow, but it looks like they're getting that car in a position to be really competitive.
You saw the graphic there. Most wins all time in the Xfinity Series here at Auto Club. Kyle leads with 6. A lap away from getting 7 last year, and that doesn't include the 3 times he's won here in the Monster Energy Series and the pair of victories he has when it comes to the Camping World Truck Series.
What about Blake Cook? Good practice session for him. Again, we saw speed in that car at Phoenix. Good this Friday afternoon, our first session, and now he's 6th quickest in this session, Adam.
All right, so we go beyond the wheel with Blake Cook, who was great last week at Phoenix, good here again today, and working on a pit crew. Which job? He says he would be the front tire changer.
I'd be the spotter. What would you be?
Well, I believe Blake, he's kind of small, he's athletic. I think he would be a good tire changer.
Top karaoke song, Sweet Home Alabama. He's a man after your heart, Larry Mack.
Roll Tide Roll.
Big week on NASCAR Race Hub, and let's just say that you can't get in front of the television at 6 Eastern Time, you forget to set the DVR, don't worry. We got the all-new Hubcast. It's our own podcast for NASCAR Race Hub, where we take the best content, put it out there on SoundCloud and iTunes. You can download it anytime.
That's the second time you've said that. All of the content is good content.
Okay. All right.
All of the content's good.
Well,
and you know, Wednesday,
you're in once a
I'm
week.
pretty pumped up about this, and I'm anxious to see how this comes out. Chris Neville went surfing yesterday with Matt Tiff, and that's going to air on Race Hub on Wednesday. So we'll see how that goes.
Was anyone injured?
Not that I know of. Chris is here and Matt's here.
Right on.
So, you wear a helmet when you surf? You probably should.
I would wear a helmet.
Me
yes,
too.
Definitely. And by the way, we've come up with who would play me. Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. I think that's a good choice. Vince Vaughn for you, Michael.
I would like that.
And the actor that would play Larry McReynolds, Gene Hackman.
That's it. There you go.
Okay. Here's a look at Ty Dillon on track. Top 10 last week. Hard to believe it was his first of 2017. Able to come back at Phoenix. A short race, short track field.
Let's go on.
Found himself back in the pack after a speeding penalty. Sorry, Michael. Here's Brennan Poole.
Yeah, the Bull. I learned that's his nickname.
The Bull.
I think he embraces it, too.
Who, by the way, on the entry list is listed as being from the Woodlands, Texas, actually born in Sacramento, California. Another California kid here this weekend.
I love that line he's running, too. You can see he's hugging that inside seam. You want to keep your right side tires for sure out of the seams because the cars will want to dance around if you hit those seams wrong. So the drivers are certainly conscious of those darker marks in the corners changing the way the car might drive.
And Adam, you talked about Ty Dillon getting his first top 10. That was Brennan Poole's first top 10 when he finished 8th at Phoenix last week.
A little surprising, but yes, it was. Poole 21st right now, and you got to run the high lane, right, Michael? But how close is too close?
Well, you got to operate just inches away. And you can see blowing up some dust there, maybe a little bit of contact with the 48, but maybe not. He might have just been right on the edge.
If he had hit the wall and had to go to a backup, he wouldn't be the first driver in a 48 car that had to go to a backup this weekend. Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champion, had it happen in our first practice earlier today for the Monster Energy Series.
So when he qualifies a little bit later on FS1, the first lap he turns in that backup car will be when qualifying starts.
Maybe next week on the Hub you could ask Chad Knaus what that was like for that team to roll a car out for the first time and go qualified over 200 miles an hour into these turns. Got to be a challenge.
I'm going to wait and see what the results are before we ask him.
Last 5 races, 5 different winners. The common theme, they're all Monster Energy Series guys. In fact, 21 in a row for NASCAR's Top Shelf running in the Xfinity Series. I think we could have a big upset here tomorrow. Get one of these Xfinity drivers to come over and punch the veterans in the nose. What do you think about that, Michael, as we see the double dippers?
Matt Tifft is up in the 4th position in this practice. Blake Cook 6th, Brendan Gaughan 7th, Spencer Gallagher 8th. So there's some contenders for sure that find themselves with a lot of speed up in the top 10 in this practice.
And that wild ending here a year ago. See if we could duplicate that tomorrow. Joey Logano on track, quickest in our opening session, 3rd right now. He's behind Brandon Jones and Eric Jones.
I know who.
Final practice underway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We're live in Fontana, California on FS1. It's Auto Club Speedway. First 2-mile track on the schedule in 2017. Eric Jones, Brandon Jones, Joey Logano, Matt Tifft, Ty Dillon are top 5. William Byron is 10th. And he is among those drivers that when they take the green flag here tomorrow will do so for the first time in any series. I think about all the challenges this place puts in front of you. Way more difficult for that group you see on screen right now.
And as we mentioned, 2 hours of practice to get ready for this 300-miler tomorrow.
Matt Tifft there in the 19, top 5, 4th position. There's William Byron. Talked to Tifft this morning, said, never been out on this track. Should be a fun day. All the way up in the 4th spot. That tells you the talent of this rookie class, Adam.
I couldn't believe a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas that we didn't have a rookie finish inside the top 10. And then last week in Phoenix, had William Byron go out and start on the pole, enjoy all the success he did. Nearly was able to take $100,000 away from his veteran teammate, Justin Allgaier. There's the aforementioned Matt Tifft, 4th and looking for more as he heads back out, Chris.
Yeah, you can see him trying to get up to speed there. And Mike, you said this is his first time at this racetrack. Talking with him earlier today, he said he spent 2 days in the Toyota simulator, about 7 hours total, trying to figure out this racetrack, trying to get a better idea of where he can run on this racetrack. And after that first practice, he said it was close, but visually, this place is so big that after all that time in the simulator, he was like, it was helpful, but not that helpful, especially the bumps here have really thrown him off. But he said the biggest help after that first practice was relying on the Dartfish video, looking at his teammates and seeing where Kyle Busch and Eric Jones have been running.
Michael, I'm thinking about the report that Chris just did, and we heard earlier about William Byron and the iRacing and what Matt Tifft was doing in the simulator to get set for this weekend. For you as a driver, let's say 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when you were going places for the first time, how did you prepare? What was your plan?
Generally, we didn't have all the tools that the drivers have now with simulation and with iRacing. None of that was available to do. So, like, I remember first time I come to California, it's a guessing game. Everybody's sort of in the same boat. But the rookies, the younger guys, a lot of times will just simply get up on top of their pickup, on their haulers down in the garage area and get a view and see where the grip was, where the line was, and what the veterans were doing to attack this place. A lot of stopwatches, too. You'd stand there and time cars and see what kind of speed they were running compared to the line they would run. That seems like 100 years ago, Adam.
Matt Tifft right here. His teammate Kyle Busch has now jumped in the top 10. That means William Byron is 11th, Vince.
Yeah, bumped out of the top 10, but still not completely satisfied with where their car is. It's still tight through the center, and he can't get back to the throttle quite the way he wants. So that's what they're working on with William Byron and the 9 car. Keep in mind, too, the rookies get an extra set of tires here, so gives William Byron and company a little extra set of tires to work with. So when you look at that timesheet and you see the different times, a lot of different strategies in regards to tires and available tires going on down here in the garage area.
Extra set of tires is good, and the crew chief, Dave Ellens, won here a couple of years ago with Kevin Harvick. That's good as well.
You remember all that dust we saw flying up in
More than
dust too with the 48 while ago? There you have it.
I would clarify that as a kiss. You call that a kiss, Larry?
Auto Club Stripe.
California kiss.
Let's load up the FS1 video vault, huh? Here we are. Kyle Busch leading a year ago. White flag blows a tire. There goes Daniel Suarez taking over the lead. He runs out of gas. Busch has got the lead now.
So Busch is like, I got this, right?
He's
I passed the leader. No, there's one more player in this game.
Austin Dillon to the high side, and he wins it.
Kyle didn't make it easy
He
either.
did not make it easy for him whatsoever.
That's some good dancing right there. That's an upset racer right there. Felt like he had one in the bag, and it got away.
The storylines at the end of that race, you know, Eric Jones had been a player after sitting on the pole, and he had some fuel issues late in the race. So the storylines even leading up to the final lap, it was all over the place.
4 lead changes in the final lap. In the final lap, we had 4 lead changes.
How good's that?
That's nice.
And that was all brought to you by Credit One.
Yes, it was. Same tomorrow when we get the white flag.
Love it.
And you know, you spin ahead to the Cup race on Sunday. In fact, the last 5 full-length Cup races that we've had here, the lead change for the win came within the final 2 laps.
Let's listen to this driver as he dives into turn 1. Hear how much gas he gives it and when he lets off. Listen to that engine wind out. Let's see what he does.
Michael, it's almost like he rolled out on the straightaway and then picked it up almost back in turn 1.
Yeah, let's see how much different turns 3 and 4 are, because it is much sharper entry into 3.
Almost the same deal. Backed out still on the straightaway, picked it up in the middle of turn 3.
And look at him working the throttle too, off and on, just searching for grip, trying to put down as much gas as he can without the car wanting to jump around sideways.
We're watching him on track. P1 on the board. What's the feel down there, Vince?
16 laps on this set of tires. They put a new set on for this second practice. And for Eric Jones, they're looking for comfort right now, trying to get through the bumps a little bit better. They made a rear shock change just before this last run, so I'll be curious to hear what Eric's assessment is of the change that they made. And can't argue with the speed, right? Top of the board.
And it's like they continue to make some fairly long runs with this 20 car. Like Vince said, they put fresh tires on to start this practice. We know he made a 10-lap run. Now it's like he's making another long run here.
And we see the best consecutive 5 laps. Kyle Busch has jumped up to second. One might think maybe he started this session on some older tires, has jumped up inside the top 10, and has a good 5-lap speed.
But Kyle, best when you look at 10-lap average. Eric Jones, second in that category. We rode with Eric. Now let's go on board with Brennan Poole, DC Solar Chevrolet from Chip Ganassi Racing.
Let's see if it sounds any different down here in 3, what he does.
First thing I noticed is he pulled it off the wall and drove right to the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4.
And you know what I thought was interesting? Let's see what he does down in 1 and 2. But what I thought was interesting there, Larry, he was wide open when he turned off the wall. We saw the guys up high get off the gas early. See how he attacks turn 1.
Quite a bit different from Eric Jones in that 20 car down in turn 1 and 2.
And that could have everything to do with the amount of laps on the tires, too. These things go away so quickly. You've got to really start altering how you attack the corners based on your tire wear.
24 minutes to go. Final practice for the Xfinity Series. It's Fast Friday on FS1, presented by K&N. Here are your top 10. A couple of Joneses up front. Then it's Logano, Tift, and Ty Dillon, the top 5. His 3rd win in a row in that machine. Last week, it was Justin Allgaier who took the checkered flag in the desert, Avondale, Arizona, Phoenix Raceway. This run out west presented by Toyota. And here's our lineup in the next few weeks. Brad going to go back-to-back at California and Texas. And then in Bristol, Kevin Harvick makes his return. That's another Dash for Cash race, Michael.
How fun was our race last week? I mean, it was awesome seeing those Xfinity drivers put it to the Cup guys that were in the event. And this guy particularly just really doing a nice job at the tricky little mile in Phoenix.
You know, one thing we have not mentioned about this 150-lap, 300-mile race tomorrow, the stages. Lap 35 in Stage 1. We'll go another 35 to lap 70 to end Stage 2. And then that final run of the checkered flag, 80 laps. They do have 6 sets of Goodyear tires, including what they're going to start the race on. So I think that's plenty of tires to run this race. But we know if you get that caution after 10 laps, you want to come back to pit road and get 4 more fresh tires.
Fuel window here somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 laps, roughly.
Yeah, probably go a little be a little greater than that with this lower downforce, lower drag package. But yes, you can make the final stage, the final run, on one stop.
One stop, absolutely. We talked about Justin Allgaier and the experience he had last week at Phoenix. It was like you could see this coming. Frustrated after Daytona and Atlanta, where they had finished 30th. He was by far and away the best series regular at Las Vegas when he finished inside the top 5. And they didn't manufacture it to get there. They stayed in the top 5 all day long at Las Vegas. And then last week at Phoenix, he came out swinging and hit that thing out of the park.
Yeah, I talked to him down the garage. He said, my car was really good on the short haul early in the race. The team made adjustments. He said, we were shifting. Going into third gear, Adam, he did not shift one time in practice because he didn't want any of the competitors seeing what his plan was. He pulled it off flawlessly during the course of the race and grabbed that victory.
You know, I just think more than anything, yeah, we know he broke an 80-race winless streak. We know he won the Dash for the Cash. We know he's qualified for the playoffs. But even though he had won 3 previous races in Xfinity, I think he just wanted to win a race driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr. That probably meant as much to him as anything.
Check this car out. It looks like it moves around a little bit more, Larry, down the back straightaway in these bumps. See it buffeting from the left rear to the right front, all down the back straightaway? That's a handful for the drivers to bounce through there all day long.
But what I like is they have it sealed off when they go through the corners. They have that front splitter completely sealed off, vents.
Yeah, and believe it or not, guys, as much as you see that bouncing around and moving around, Justin said it's actually better than it had been before. So they're going in the right direction, trying to get that ride to be a little bit smoother. But it's tough here. I mean, you guys know you can't hide from the bumps when the whole place is bumpy. So getting it to be as fast and as comfortable through those sections, that's the key. Right now, Justin says they've made gains on it in 1 and 2, but it's a little worse in 3 and 4.
Vince, we're looking at the box score there from 2017 for driver 7, and I just think about the pressure that is lifted when you win this early in the year, because as you said, Larry, you get a victory. Track time just about up for Xfinity Series cars here at Auto Club Speedway, and some changes in the top 5 while we were away. A Ford now at the front. That's Joey Logano, who went P1, a 40.72. And William Byron now in the top 5, the rookie from Charlotte, driving the 9 car for Junior Motorsports. What do you make of that, Michael? You're always analyzing the speed charts.
Possibly just some fresh tires. Maybe the final setup, Larry McReynolds, on that 9 car, how they think they might want to attack the race tomorrow?
Well, we definitely got confirmation for Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, and Elliott Sadler that their next time out, which is this time for Joey Logano, a fresh set of Goodyear tires.
And with Byron jumping up to 5th, that's a strong lap. And he's indeed on a run out on the track. He's still going around, so it wasn't a qualifying run. So that's just putting all your eggs in your basket and say, okay, here's some fresh tires. This is what you're going to have tomorrow. How do you like it? And I like it so far. That's really good speed for Byron.
It's a good time to put fresh tires on and go ahead and make a long run here to end this practice.
As a driver, because the next time you're on track is going to be 12:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 local time tomorrow morning for qualifying. What do you want to feel? What do you need to feel at the end of this practice session to be confident going into that qualifying session tomorrow?
Well, the qualifying session will be quite different than what Williams is feeling right now. This is all about making a race run, knowing that the tire pressures are different and the grill is different, less downforce there. But Adam, in the morning, the track's going to be cool. They're going to have new tires. They're going to feel a thrill because they're going to go harder around this racetrack than they were ever able to today when they go qualifying tomorrow, looking for a new track record. In Cup practice today, the times were faster than the track record. So these low downforce packages on these cars really get them down the straightaway.
Unofficially as a driver, how would you measure the grip here, Michael?
In qualifying in the morning, I'd give it a 5 of 5. And about 10 laps in the race, I'd give it a 1 of 5.
All right, let's get the official grip count now, Larry.
Well, this is through the help of the people with the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. This is Phoenix last week. Just look at the difference. We gave that a 4, and this is what we're calling Auto Club Speedway a 1. And basically, that's a small sample of the track surface in microns, and look at it as coefficient of friction. This over here is like the coarse side of the cheese grater. This is like the little bit finer side. Just that's overall grip level of the racetrack.
And that looks a little bit like on the California side that quesadilla I just had with guacamole on it.
Well, it smelled like that quesadilla, too, as I stood between you two after y'all went down there to King Taco.
There's the topic of discussion.
I think we've officially lost it. You know what happens when you say things like that, Larry? The producer says, give me the commercial, like right now. 11th, looking things over with his crew. And here's the guy that's finished 6th. 3 consecutive weeks. Darrell Wallace Jr., 3rd here last year, but Michael, 19th in the final practice. And when you look at what this guy has done, I mean, he starts out at Daytona, did not go his way at all. Caught up in the big one. But he bounced back. And he has shown a lot of grit and determination the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I just love what I've seen out of Darrell Wallace Jr. Not only behind the wheel, but his attitude. He's fought for every position he could possibly gain. He's done a great job behind the wheel, and it just showed sheer determination to wheel his way up toward the front.
Hit the wall in Atlanta, came back to finish 6th. Battling flu-like symptoms at Las Vegas, needed 3 IVs after the race, but finished in the 6th position. And last week, they were just pretty good top to bottom.
And he's a big University of Tennessee fan, and it's Peyton Manning's birthday today, so I bet you Bubba's having a good day anyway.
Yes.
And 1 year ago in this race, in that melee of everything that was going on in that final lap, he crossed the finish line 3rd.
And he had a pretty good race car. He was in the game all day long. I just remember him sliding around all over the place. And really, when you look at the Roush Fenway organization, you see the numbers here comparing 16 and 17. 4 races into the campaign, they've been solid as a rock.
They're going to, Bubba and Seth Barber as crew chief, they're going to have to go to work, I think. I don't see quite the speed they're going to need in order to be able to get up there and contend for the win tomorrow. He's down in 20th position on his fastest lap, and just seems like maybe he needs to find a little bit more speed. And I'm sure they're aware of that. They're just going out and trying things, trying to make sure they exhaust every possible change and adjustment they can before they make the final decision on what that setup will be like tomorrow.
6 wins here for the Cat in the Hat, Jack Roush and the Roush Fenway organization. 2nd to Joe Gibbs when you look at all-time victories in the Xfinity Series. And do you remember this? I think it was 2004. I can get confirmation. 2004, they swept the weekend here. That's when the trucks came out. I think we came out here the 2nd week of the season after Daytona. I believe Mark Martin won the truck race. Greg Biffle won the Xfinity race. And Matt Kenseth won the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup race.
Where do you keep all that information at?
I don't know where that came from, really. So here's an interesting thing on Brandon Jones. He's 4th, but he's only turned 9 laps, and he put that fast time up pretty early. So what do you make of the 33 here, Michael?
Definitely just a qualifying run right off the bat to simulate what they'll feel in the morning, see if they needed to make any adjustments. Obviously, Chris Neville, a lot of speed in the short haul. Worried about him on the long run, though. What are they saying down there?
Well, pretty happy with this race car so far. You know, we talk about all these drivers coming out west and so busy out here. Brandon Jones yesterday spent time talking with troops down at Camp Pendleton, a Marine base just south of here. Do a lot of amphibious assault training down there. Said he had a great day with the troops, and right now, pretty happy with his race car. And you guys are spot on. That lap that he did, that was just a 1-lap flyer. That was qualifying trim. Happy with the car there. Right now, really focusing on making sure the car is comfortable through the bumps, across the seams, and making sure it doesn't tighten up too much late in the run. So they've only done, they did an 8-lap run right now. I think they're going to try and squeeze in a 10-lap run before we get done here.
You know, Chris mentions his visit yesterday to Camp Pendleton. Actually, Brandon at one point was considering the military as a possible career path. A busy guy this weekend because tonight he's going to go over to Anaheim. He's going to drive the Zamboni during intermission at the National Hockey League Anaheim Ducks home game.
I hope he doesn't get into the wall.
No seams on ice.
But it'll be slick over there on that ice, just like we will be here tomorrow.
Yes,
so to help
will.
him warm up for tomorrow.
I have no comment.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a step away from Larry right now after that quesadilla statement he made.
You ought to have been standing where I was standing.
Daniel Hemrick is 17th. Looking to go back-to-back inside the top 10 after that nice rally last week in the desert. 5 minutes to go, final practice. Logano, Eric Jones, Paul Menard, Brandon Jones, and Kyle Larson, your top 5.
The authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
It's been a fun Friday afternoon. NASCAR coverage live on FS1. Fast Friday presented by K&N. Just a couple of minutes to go for Xfinity cars in this last practice session. There are the points going into round 5. Elliott Sadler, who was a part of the championship 4 a season ago, leading the way. William Byron, his rookie teammate behind him. Ryan Reed third after that big win to open the season at Daytona. He is playoff eligible. Eric Jones, second in final practice events. I guess they're done for the day, right?
They are indeed. He'll get ready to go back to the Cup Garage for a little more work today. You got into the wall just a tick there on the right rear. Was that just trying to get every little bit of it you could get?
Yeah, we've been pushing it up in 1 and 2 all day. We just haven't had really the grip we've needed, so went up there to try to find a little bit more. But the GameStop Camry's all right. We definitely got some good speed on the front side. Need to be a little bit better in the long run, but we've done a good job of making good gains all day. Just a matter of finding that next little bit. So we'll go to work tonight and hopefully find a little bit more.
I wouldn't bet up against this driver or this team to find it.
No doubt. Vince, a couple of years ago, came here, got his first career pole. Very competitive at this style of racetrack is Eric Jones. And the added track time, Rookie of the Year contender in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, coming off a career best at that level 1 week ago at Phoenix. And well, that might be the guy everybody's chasing, Joey Logano.
It has been today, and you think back to last week, no, it's a totally different racetrack. Ryan Blaney drove this 22 car, had to start 33rd after missing qualifying, ended up a close second to Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a 10th. You know, he's got a solid 10th in every category over the competition, so obviously it's going to be the guy you keep your eye on. Came out here a year ago. It was all about the Gibbs cars. This year, there's a lot of guys that can go to victory lane. We'll see if Kyle Busch can do something special tomorrow, racing along with Joey Logano.
Worth noting, Team Penske never won here at Auto Club Speedway, and that 22 team has not won since November of 2015. And you talk about frustration. The body language says it all for Darrell Wallace Jr.
Yeah, we talked about that long run. Didn't look like they were where they wanted to be. And I think if you didn't know the lap times, you could be able to tell by Bubba Wallace's reaction there. He doesn't like what he's got.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, not that we have that many Fords. We have a total of 5 Fords. There's only one showing speed, and that's Joey Logano on that 22.
Ty Dillon?
Yeah, Cole Custer is the second quickest Ford in that 00 all the way back in 15.
There's Ty in the garage talking things over with his team. Top 10 right now in 8th.
Elliott Sadler's making me tired. We've seen him out there sawing on that wheel for just about all these 2 practices. Busy day for that racer.
Well, remember what I said. They decided to put on a brand new set of Goodyear tires and run this practice out, and that's exactly what they've done, as you see the red and the black flag waving.
32 laps in final practice for our points leader. Red and black flags are out, and that means practice is over.
William Byron with 37 laps, along with Brennan Poole, a couple of youngsters that are making a bunch of rounds as well.
35 for Joey Logano, who is P1 here, the second 10. Spencer Gallagher in the top 12, tested here, second trip to California, and that experience appears to be paying some dividends for the kid out of Las Vegas.
Mike Lynette just outside the top 20. There you see Dakota Armstrong raced his way into the top 10 of points. So he'll be trying to find some speed tomorrow to continue the good start to the season.
Brandon Hightower, another one of those drivers making their very first start ever here at Auto Club Speedway.
40 cars here this weekend. 37 of them went out in final practice. One more time to the garage. What's happening, Chris?
Well, and Ty Dillon, 8th on the board. You got 2 teammates there up in the top 5. You guys figure out what you need for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so. Our root Chevy is pretty solid. Drives really good. Really happy with what Squid and the guys have done with the car between 2 practices. We could probably have a little bit more speed, but I'm really, really happy with the way it's driving. So looking forward to the race tomorrow and getting in and hopefully having a shot at a win. Great. Thanks, Ty.
So those are the words of Ty Dillon. Now he'll make the walk over to the Monster Energy Series garage, get set for qualifying. It's part of the items on our to-do list as we continue on this Fast Friday. That happens at 7 Eastern Time, live on FS1. Next time you'll see the Xfinity cars on track, 12:30 Eastern tomorrow. Single car qualifying. We're live on FS1 with that as well.
How about some monster speed from these Monster Energy cars when they go qualifying at 7 p.m. on the East Coast? That's a pretty good way to spend your Friday night, right? Watch some cars haul the mail down into Turn 1 here.
You will see something you probably won't see a lot of in 2017, and I'm confident you will see a new track record, no question.
We can take that to the bank.
Absolutely.
Well, you think we're going to see speeds maybe in excess of 210 miles an hour going
I'd
to Turn 1?
say it's going to flirt right at it, Michael, no question. Because remember, what's low down force is also low drag, a lot like that we have in this series here.
Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, and you, Larry McReynolds.
I'll